this insane support for what the Democratic Party is doing in bringing in never Trump Republicans. It's almost like Trump is at the center of everything.
It
right?
certainly feels that way, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like if you're an enemy of Trump's, then you are welcome. But if you are someone who believes in a lot of left-wing policies, but you're critical in certain ways, well, you're not pure enough. We're going to purge you. We're going to purge you.
Where does that degree of purity come from?
I have no idea.
Anna Kasparian continues moving closer to the right, calling out, once again, the woke left. But now it's not just her calling out the woke left. She calls out her own fan base, her audience on the Young Turks on her new podcast episode with Williamson. It's insane. The Young Turks civil war is just growing. It is brewing. And there's some speculation, by the way, guys, that Anna Kasparian is trying to get out of her contract at TYT. So this is just, things between her and Chunky Yogurt. By the way, comment Chunky Yogurt for the algorithm. But the tensions between them have been rising and accumulating for so long now that it's bound to erupt and completely have a public breakdown any day. And we're covering it here every day. So make sure you subscribe because I post two new videos every day. We have fun, we laugh. Comment down below. I always read the comments, I respond. Like this video, and let's just get straight into it because this is a good one.
Yeah, I do actually. So if you're grounded in your values, and I do think I am, you're not going to be seduced by people who are just nice to you, right? I actually really respect the fact that the right is welcoming, that they are willing to, forgive past transgressions and say, hey, we will take you in with open arms. Not everyone on the right, but generally speaking, that is what I noticed. Whereas with the left, there seems to be this weird obsession with exclusivity, purity, and purging people who are, heterodox or whatever. And so I've noticed quite a bit of that on the left. But I really do value who I am as a person, and I just don't think that I'm going to change my political views entirely based on who's mean to me or who's nice to me. But I will say this, I don't know if it's a strategy or if it's just who right-wingers happen to be, but their willingness to welcome people is honestly how you build power. It really is. And the left just fails to realize that. I don't know why they want to treat politics as if it's like this cutesy little exclusive club, but that's certainly how they treat it. But then there's also this paradox.
She does have a point there. Republicans and conservatives are way more welcoming, and there's a bad part of that too because we kind of will welcome in. We have Lady MAGA. Nick Fuentes was kicked out of a conservative event. I forget which one. I think it was CPAC. Meanwhile, Lady MAGA, a legit drag queen, was allowed in. So that those are the types of things we supposedly are against the idea that there's infinite genders, that you can change your genders, or your gender. Oh my gosh. I can't talk today. We are against the idea that you can change your gender because we are on the side of God, Christianity, and the truth. So it doesn't make sense to welcome in someone like Lady MAGA, but okay, we'll take your votes, but you know what I'm saying? But yes, obviously, liberals claim to be the open-minded people, but no, conservatives are the ones that will welcome in anyone with open arms because we just want you to understand that the woke left is evil and things are brighter over here. Be on the right side of things. It's better.
Like Kamala Harris's campaign, for instance. And she's luring in the who's who of Bush era Republicans. And I don't like those folks. I don't like neocons. I think that, in fact, I became politicized when the neocons were in charge during the Bush administration. And the idea that I now have to just hold my nose and support Kamala Harris, even as she is talking about the value of having Dick Cheney endorse her and campaign with her, it just grosses me out. So it's a weird paradox because while I'm being trashed pretty viciously, there's this insane support for what the Democratic Party is doing in bringing in never Trump Republicans. It's almost like Trump is at the center of everything.
It really is. Trump is literally running everything. Even if they hate him, they're talking about him. We all know this.
Certainly feels that way, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like if you're an enemy of Trump's, then you are welcome.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter that you are a warmonger, that you send innocent people to die. It doesn't matter. You just, if you hate Trump, that's all we need to know to like you. That's how the left is. It's truly insane.
But if you are someone who believes in a lot of left-wing policies, but you're critical in certain ways, well, you're not pure enough. We're going to purge you. We're going to purge you.
Where does that degree of purity come from?
I have no idea.
Have you
I
tried to think about sort of what this mechanism is, this underlying dynamic?
It could be fear, right? Fear of betrayal. I think that, one thing that has really given me some clarity about what drives people is Jonathan Haidt's work when it comes to moral foundations. I love that book. I loved Coddling of the American Mind, too. That was an excellent book as well. But what I appreciated about that is I was able to learn about my own inherent biases. And also, I was able to learn what, moral foundations the left has that leads to certain behaviors and certain beliefs. So the left tends to score very low on loyalty. And so that was really interesting. I took the test. I don't know how accurate it is, but I scored the absolute highest in loyalty. And so it's just when I see members of the left publicly trashing each other, like prominent figures publicly trashing each other in bad faith specifically, it really disgusts me. It genuinely does. And even as all of these various public figures on the left are trashing me right now, I'm not going to do that on my show. Like, I haven't done that on TYT. I'm not going to do that on TYT because it's just the whole thing grosses me out. It's just not who I am. So
That's really cool of her to see that she has this strong attraction, not like sexually, but like, she's attracted to loyalty. She values loyalty. I do too. Of course, I don't think you should be loyal to like something that's awful, but I like that.
I think moral foundations might play a role in the different behaviors that you're seeing on the left and the right.
I understand what you mean about this.
Yeah, because like the right actually has morals that aren't just like be a whore, open your legs and kill your babies.
Fear, and especially the loyalty point, that I often think that if you know one of someone's opinions and from it you can accurately predict everything else that they believe, even though they might not genuinely believe it, you have this reliable model that kind of projects out where Anna, we don't need to worry about Anna, she was on board with X, Y, and Z last time. But if there's if you're this sort of perfect round sphere, we know that if we roll you where you're going to go. But if you've got a couple of little sort of chinks out of you and a couple of dents and divots, you go, well, hang on, she didn't quite agree with us so much on that. So she's like an unreliable ally moving forward. I'm not so sure that I actually do trust her on this thing. So rather than potentially put your faith in someone who is with you most of the time, but not all of the time, it's easier to just cast you out. But even though you said, you're not, your political allegiance doesn't lie with whoever is nicest to you, you can certainly see the dynamic of how people would feel put off by the left's distaste. It's all well and good saying, I don't go just where people want me, but it's very hard to stay somewhere where people don't want you.
And this is like specifically very true for Anna Kasparian because of her clashing with Cenk, Chunky Yogurt. Again, comment Chunky Yogurt for the algorithm. And it's hard because her audience is turning on her and she's going to turn on her audience, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. It's hard to do, but I'll commend her for that.
Percent true. Yeah, I do think that the right is winning. I think there's a reason why, if you look at voter registration, for the first time, there are fewer registered Democrats in America compared to, registered Republicans. But that's not because they're registering as Republicans. It's because they're no longer registering as Democrats and just they're independent voters. They consider themselves independent voters. That's a problem within the Democratic Party that I think they need to come to terms with and maybe change their behavior so it stops happening. But
Less
the thing that's been
less elitist.
Exactly. And it's actually been the most shocking to me that they are unwilling to recalibrate in any way. Ever.
Every single
They really aren't. They refuse to change ever or take any accountability.
person I know who I'm friends with from the left, this is probably their number one gripe internally. And it's the thing that everybody has to sort of say quietly. Like, I can't actually talk about it fully because even calling out the fact that there is an elephant in the room is enough of a problem to cause you to be casting that the unreliable ally radar kicks off. One other dynamic that I really wanted to get your take on that I thought is interesting. We do sometimes see people slide away from the more extreme versions of the left, right? There's been a variety of arcs where people have gone fully from left to right or from left to center or whatever.
I'm going to cut it off right there because that's pretty much the part that I really wanted to show you guys. But stay tuned. Like, again, subscribe, put notifications on for when I post, because I'm covering the TYT beef, the TYT civil war. It's going down. As always, thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time, and comment an orange heart if you made it to the end of the video. You guys are my favorites. Adios.